Also from the government representative on the private investment. For us in real estate, I think most of these new initiatives are actually very challenging for us right now. I know at the end of the day the government is trying to stabilize the economy, but some of us are actually feeling the brunt of some of these new initiatives. For example, the VAT initiative on applying VAT on real estate developers has far-reaching implication at the moment. What it means is we will be applying VAT to our housing stock, in as much as the argument is for a minimal or a marginal increase in the overall tax effect. But once it's applied to our housing stock, our customers are going to bear the full brunt of this implication. And what it means to most of us is there might be a reduction in demand for our houses, and we might be seeing whereby people will be thinking of building their own houses instead of coming to the real estate developers. And for us, we have quite a lot of implications. Well, commitments to our banks, and we have to be paying and servicing our loans. And once there is a drop in demand, definitely it will affect us. Now, in terms of some of the initiative,
for example, the demand, when people decide to build their own houses, what will happen to the housing market?
Well, what it means to the housing market for the real estate developers, it means a shrink in the housing market. So some real estate developers will have to go out of business, and especially when the government initiative is to increase the housing stock, it means there will be less houses being built by real estate developers. So I doubt how that can actually go towards the government initiative for providing homes for the Ghanaians.
When it comes to servicing loans from the banks,
in terms of the servicing our loans to the bank, there are two pronged approach. One is that if we don't have the sales, it means we find it very difficult to meet the scheduled payments that we already have with the banks. Now, the other point, which is a bit very, very challenging for us, is converting most of these loans that we have with the banks, which were denominated in dollars, now to cedis, because the government is trying to de-dollarize the economy. Now, as I stand here, the banks are trying to see how we can sit down and convert the dollar-denominated loans into CD loans. Some of these dollar loans, we contracted them at a very lower rates, something like 9%, 10%. Now, when these dollar loans are converted to CDs, we are talking here about interest rates over 22%, 23%. And that will definitely increase our overheads in terms of finance charge, and we'll definitely have to pass those costs on to home buyers. Definitely it will increase the cost of the houses on the other hand. And with all those double whammy approaches, not to talk about the general increases in cost of goods and services, i.e. cement, fuel, electricity, all of that will have untold effect on the housing estate.
On the measures on the CD and the dollar, I thought it wouldn't have retrospective effect, and that those transactions or agreements that you've already had will not be affected.
What do you, in terms of
the loans you've already contracted, the measures were not supposed to affect them, as in converting your dollar-rated or denominated loans into CDs now?
Well, there are two approaches here. I mean, if you once we contracted those loans in dollars, and the government initiative is for us to denominate all our selling price into cedis. So what it means is that we will now be selling our houses in cedis, and we have to also buy dollars to pay the loans in dollars. Now, the other alternative is for you to sit down with the banks and convert the dollar loans into cedis. Whichever way, there will be side effects at the end of the day.